helping women to travel with confidence on their own terms, affordably on their own budget, and to make it intentional. Women tend to put everyone first. What goes with that is caring for everyone else's needs except ourselves. The 40s is where women can now take a step back and say, hey, what about me? What about my dreams?
Welcome to Moving Through Menopause, and today I'm chatting with Maria Kamau. Maria is a travel coach. Welcome to the podcast, Maria. I'm really excited to dive into traveling, not just in midlife, but beyond midlife, and specifically talking around the challenges that women face and perhaps women who are traveling alone. So I know that you have traveled widely and now you're supporting and helping women to follow in your footsteps. So please tell me a little bit more about how travel has been such an important feature in your life.
Thank you, Phillipa. I'm excited to be chatting with you today. Thank you for having me. And let me just give just a little bit of background. My first introduction to travel, let me say international, because I'm born and bred in Kenya, a country that many people are familiar with. It's a prime tourist destination for wildlife, the climate. So in high school, when I was 16, we had an exchange program organized between the governments of Kenya and Germany. And we hosted German teens around our age, 16, 17, for about 6 weeks in Nairobi. I hosted a young man, and then we traveled to Germany and spent 4 weeks, also learning about the country and getting an exposure. And so that was a very impactful experience, quite some culture shock. So that was very interesting experience. So by the time I came back, I was completely hooked. And so fast forward 20 years later, I traveled to over 90 countries across 5 continents, traveling to see the world. And the more I travel, the more I travel. So I wanted to help people, women asking, how do you do it? How do you manage to get around? Help me out. And so I stumbled upon coaching in travel. And it's really just does the same thing, hand-holding, giving support, helping women to travel with confidence on their own terms, affordably on their own budget, and just to make it intentional because they're speaking to someone who's lived it, personalized experience, and helping more women to get out there and travel with confidence.
Travel with confidence. I like that. Yeah, you speak to that piece, which is that I would never teach anybody an exercise that I haven't done. And this idea that we have this lived experience of, in your case, travel, and movement in my case, these things are so good for us, expanding our horizons with travel. So I'm just wondering, this time of life, for me, menopause brought around a whole host of symptoms, digestive issues, sleep disruption. I was feeling exhausted, and travel was something that just the idea of it just exhausted me before I'd even put anything in the suitcase, honestly. So I can kind of see why people might be putting off traveling, but have you got some insights to help us to overcome some of these barriers to travel so that we can have this opportunity, as you say, for expansion? Because I think certainly as we get older, sometimes we feel like the walls are closing in. Our world is getting smaller. And familiarity is so tempting. Routine, our bodies and our minds, they crave routine. And yet getting out of your comfort zone and traveling, if that's something that you've got on your agenda, can be so liberating. How can we help women over 40 who are thinking of solo travel or even travel with a friend? How are we going to overcome those boundaries that people face?
Okay, that's a good one. I'm happy to say that I am also going through the menopause season. So I have an idea because we're able to talk about it more in this current environment. I guess we also understand it is slightly different for different people. But in general, we're able to have a conversation, and certainly we have commonalities. And so, with regard to travel, let me say at a personal level, in general, we evolve as we grow from young to mid age, as we transition into menopause. And so, the way I traveled when I was younger, I also am self conscious that it's changing because travel has its demands on time, on your energy. So the whole process, like you mentioned, preparing for it. And so when I travel, I try to maximize travel as much as possible, fill my days. And what I found that with menopause, I've had to slow down how I pack and what even integrate days or activities that I can just say, I'm not feeling and just forget it. So, one of the things that, just in keeping with your questions, is that as women across cultures, regions, just as women, we tend to put everyone first in terms of responsibility, in terms of support, because we are caregivers. Women have children and in laws and communities and everything that goes with that. So, women are very good, and it's a good thing that we are caregivers. And what goes with that is caring for everyone else's needs except ourselves. And what happens is that as we are growing, it's a bit of a philosophical discussion, but as we grow from a young age, society is guiding you what you should be doing. By now, you should be in school. By now, you should be having a boyfriend, or by now, you should be 2.5 children. So somehow, by the time you reach 40s, is when women are now realizing that society doesn't really have an idea of what we should be doing. They sort of get to figure it out, but by then it's too late. We're taking care of everyone. And that's the comfort zone we tend to default to. And so when it comes to those dreams that we've put on hold while we were following society's guidelines, for many people, travel is one of them. And so the 40s and moving forward is where we start realizing that, okay, life is passing me by. This is the right time. Women can now take a step back and say, hey, what about me? What about my dreams? All those things I've put in the back burner, and travel is one of them. It's like you have friends who are living all over the places who've been inviting you. You have family, you have interests. You've always wanted to go to Africa or to wherever. And so this is the time that we hesitate because of that. What will society say? What is the right thing? Can I spend money? Is it okay to spend it on myself? It tends to feel selfish. And some of these narratives we tell ourselves. It's not others who tell us. Sometimes it's us. Can I give myself permission to travel? The pushback at the same time is like, is it safe? Is it okay for me to get out there? So these are the reasons we hold back. There's always that at the back of our mind, unfulfilled dreams. With relation to travel, it looks like, is it possible to do it now? Am I too late? Is it safe?
I think this is true, isn't it? That when you get to the time where you think, well, it's my time now, then other barriers appear, like you say, around the safety elements. And of course, we've got quite unstable times at the moment in the world.
Yes.
Some of the places that we might have been thrilled and excited to explore might just be off the menu for the foreseeable future. But, you know, again, I think women, and not just women, but us as people, putting barriers in our own way. You know, quite often it is just around, let's get out of our own way. And I think I might have shared with you that I'm planning to host a Pilates and yoga retreat in Italy this coming summer. Now, I think it'll be safe to go to Italy. I think we'll be all right in Italy. But I've had women who have been saying, yes, oh yes, I'm so excited to come, I can't wait. And then they sort of go, oh, but what about getting there? Because being there seems like a good idea. But getting there, there's kind of barriers around that. And especially if you were to be traveling on your own. The safety issues that women face, I think you alluded to that. We want to keep ourselves safe. when we're traveling, especially if we're traveling on our own. And so, do you have some really good tips for how we can stay safe as we travel?
Yeah, and that is a good place to start, in the sense that that's usually the first barrier. Fear. Is it safe? And what's interesting is that society revolves around women. We raise families, we run businesses, we run communities, and yet we hesitate that we are not strong enough or brave enough to get on a plane and travel to another place. But let me say that in general, the world, its evolution online has made it safer. It has given us a lot more options to be able to keep in touch with those trust, even as we travel out. And we can make arrangements, a lot of arrangements in advance, and share them with those that we trust, simply because they're online. So if we look at, for example, bookings, accommodation, travel arrangements, we can have prior and keep confirming. If you have booked accommodation at a specific hotel and made arrangements for them to pick you up from the airport, you can confirm this to the last minute, and you can share these details with others. Even without using the hotel, you can use Uber, you can arrange activities far in advance. You can keep in touch with others who are traveling, and step by step. You book, you can check 5 minutes later. We have eSIMs. There's so many ways you can. So using online systems to communicate with even people you don't know, because at least communication systems give us some level of comfort or security. And if I don't know the people, somebody knows where I am and can keep track of me as we go along. So using eSIMs, which is also a new technology, helps us to stay in touch even when we leave our countries and arrive in a different country. You can be online immediately, the plane touches down. And then what we call common sense, which, okay, is sometimes not common. The concerns we have about what can happen abroad can happen at home, and often do, because our guard is down at home. Out there, we tend to. So it's taking the similar precautions. Avoid arriving very late at night in a place that you have never been to before. Avoid being on your own at night, any place, your place at home or in whatever neighborhood, as women solo. Just those precautions you take. Avoid wearing expensive jewelry that can attract you. Avoid having too much luggage on you, which can be tiring and cause you to be disoriented. Do your research ahead of time. So there are several ways you can, and it's mostly about preparation. It is possible, and most places are safer than the news implies that they are.
Well, yeah, there is that. Being prepared, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. That's something that I shall always remember. And yeah, there's no doubt about it. Having plans, sharing your plans, and accessing, using modern technology, and sharing your plans with somebody you trust. I think those are really super tips to help us. And of course, for my yoga Pilates retreat, we've got our WhatsApp group up and running, so that people who are joining us on retreat will be able to share travel plans and coordinate the journey from the airport to the venue, and make everything as effortless and seamless as possible. So I think the other barrier that people, you alluded to it earlier, is the expense of traveling. And certainly a couple of the ladies might have said to me, "Oh, if not now, then when? You know, I'm just gonna take the plunge and do this now. It's something I've been wanting to do. Why am I putting it off? And I'm going to budget so that I can do the things that I want to do." And I think we have to budget in our lives, don't we? So how can we make travel affordable and prioritize travel in the constraints of what is our budget, which again, it seems that the expenses keep going up.
Yes, and that's
outpacing the wages, but still life is short and we're only here once. And so to embrace these opportunities, how can we make it affordable?
thank you for that question. First and foremost, travel doesn't need to be expensive, but travel, as with everything else, will cost some. And the one thing I liked what you said is prioritizing.
Oh, yes.
Because we are all, one way or another, whether we earn it or receive it through welfare or support, you will have some money over which you have some control. So the question is, what is your priority? And what I encourage is memories over things. And for women, if we really take a step back and look around us, we have a lot of stuff. We spend on a lot of. If you just open your wardrobe, you can see where our priorities lie over the years. And so when we have this discussion about budget, the question is how much of a priority is it? And what value do you get from travel? Because it is affordable, but it's going to compete with something else that you commit your, your money to. So you can choose to upgrade your car or to upgrade your wardrobe, upgrade your furniture. I mean, there's a lot. There's stuff. Shiny things are all over when you look all around you. So, what value do you get, or how much value remains with you after your purchase is what makes the difference between travel and buying stuff. There'll always be stuff to buy. But the memories that you create are lasting. Whether you do travel, like the person who's going to spend that 1 week in Italy, whether they've been before or not, that memory from the moment they leave their homes, arrive there, and all the time they spend in all the adventures along the way, expected, unexpected, that is something that's priceless. You can't put a price to it. And maybe the question will be, is yoga for you that you should be more perhaps reflecting on? But traveling over stuff, travel wins for me. And so the woman who's thinking, can I afford it? There's travel affordable for every budget. So it's about, if not travel, what is it you're going to spend on something. And it's about how you prioritize it, how much impact it will make on your life thereafter. For those who may have, for example, family or close friends who are interested in the same yoga, if a mother came with her daughter or with her close friend, those kind of memories, you wouldn't even put a price to them. So it's like, if not now, when? That works for travel beautifully, because you do it now and it keeps paying back in the joy and the blessings. Other stuff, it will have its utility, but if you are upgrading a vehicle, for example, it's how excited will you be about it? For how long will you be excited about that purchase if you compare to travel? So again, it's back to planning and prioritizing.
That's absolutely perfect. And you kind of alluded to this with the memories piece that you were talking to, but the idea that travel changes us and we come back different, and how we show up in our lives can change as a result of these experiences. And travel as personal growth, if that's something that speaks to your values, then what's your experience of how travel changes how we show up in our lives, Maria?
Wow. Yeah, that's big. That's big. Because the first adventure of discovery that impacts you with travel is discovery of self. That's just the first and most, even before you go and see the great sights you're looking forward to. It's so much more within, because it's not about, it's a courage within that we don't know we have to commit to something that we want to do and then go out and do it. And with travel, with all the moving bits, no matter how much you plan, along the way, there's going to be many adventures. I call them adventures of things that don't quite go as you expect. So the first impact it has is on you as a person, discovering how much we have within, how much intuition, knowledge, how you respond to situations. Do they hold you back, or do you have that inner strength to go forth? Your fear factor, which in many ways we plan for a lot that doesn't happen, or we fear a lot that doesn't happen. Interacting with people we don't know, or could be lacking in confidence because we don't know how we will communicate with them or how we'll get along. And finding that each one of us has that adventurous person, that courageous person who believes in themselves. And the more you're able to make progress in that journey, and the journey is physical and within, it's an impact. For me, one of the things was just realizing that I have biases about how I expect people to behave or how they will respond to me. And one thing I've come to learn is that sometimes, especially in countries where English is not the first language, I've learned that a lot of the body language or the unfriendliness is really coming from a place of not wanting to misunderstand one another. And it gets everyone anxious. If we can't speak to each other, if we can't understand one another, we could misunderstand each other in a negative way. And so I learned that I have biases and I could be also misunderstand somebody else. So I need to be patient. I need to give others benefit of doubt. And I need to appreciate that I'm a stranger to someone, and that does not necessarily mean a bad thing. They just have maybe never encountered someone who looks like me or talks like me. And it's the same, it's two-way. And so it's a journey in learning to appreciate other people, appreciate yourself, that the world is not out to get you. People are just living their lives.
This is really interesting, isn't it? I think the more widely traveled that one is, the more that you have experienced different cultures, the more different you think everybody is. Actually, we are all fundamentally very much the same.
One thing I discovered along the way is also that when I'm traveling, it's a huge privilege because everybody else is at work. Everyone, home, the taxi guy, the pilot, the hostess, the hoteliers, everyone is, wherever you arrive, that's what's keeping everyone busy. Nobody's bothered about you because people are trying to live their livelihoods. So even if I go to a hotel, many people have come to learn not everyone is on holiday. Some are on business, some are visiting families, some are in transit. And so people are just trying to live their lives, and we are more similar than we imagine. We just live lives differently.
Yeah, that's true. And it's funny, you were talking about experiences whilst traveling. And I had planned and prepared. So I'd had some of the rabies injections before I'd been. So it wasn't desperately urgent that I get the rest of the injections. But the doctor who came to the hotel was so amazingly efficient, and the health service was so good. And when I was in Mumbai, I went to a private hospital and I sat there. So being a healthcare professional, I absolutely loved this experience of healthcare in another country. I'm not suggesting everybody who goes to India should get themselves bitten on the bottom or even have to experience the healthcare system when you go on holiday. You probably don't really want that. But, for me, this kind of almost added to my experience of India. It's kind of is the lenses that you're looking through as we travel. But the other thing, of course, is being physically capable. And I've been noticing lately for myself opening the stiff jars. And I'm thinking, what's wrong with me? Is it me? Is it the jar? What's going on? And lifting heavy suitcases and carting a backpack and a suitcase and this, that, and the other. How can we help women who might just be feeling a little bit anxious or worried about the whole physicality of travel. Now, of course, you can come and do Pilates and yoga with me from anywhere in the world as it happens. But what sort of tips have you got, Maria, for helping women feeling physically competent?
Yes, to travel. Yeah, that one has two sides because there are those who would want to travel to relax, and so really don't want to exert themselves. But the truth is that travel requires not an excessive amount of like physical fitness, but it's going to involve, like you rightly mentioned, walking, lifting, moving around. It's going to require that you're going to exert yourself one way or another. Just because you're getting out of your comfort zones, one thing I encourage women a lot, women, less is more. Less is more. If there's one good thing that travel has taught me, is reduce my baggage in many ways. Traveling light and being very selective about, for example, the shoes you wear, because you're going to go through airports or train stations, or you'll do some walking. It might be near, but whatever the case, just transferring from one place to another is going to involve some movement, which is a good thing. It's going to involve movement, it's going to involve a bit of lifting depending on how much luggage you carry. And the encouragement is travel light and wear comfy shoes. It's about preparing, as we were saying. So, how you fill your days. If you want it to be very active, then yes, you fill your days with the activities, but being mindful as you get older, not to overdo it. As you said, you don't want to encounter the health system, although for you it was a positive thing because you're a professional. So I think I love your attitude that it was a learning experience. But in general, we also want to travel to encourage us to be on the move, incorporating even activities that require walking, booking accommodation near site so that you walk to the site within what is a challenge to you, but doesn't wear you out to the point that then you don't enjoy the holiday. It's a good aspect for women in our age to travel, to keep on the move, to also be cognizant not to overstretch.
Yeah, I think those are great points. The traveling light, it's something that I struggle with. And the footwear is a real kind of bone of contention for me. We are lucky, aren't we, that nowadays wearing fashion trainers is a new invention. Women are wearing slacks with comfortable shoes, and that the pressure is not there quite as much as it used to be, wearing stilettos and looking glamorous whilst you're dragging your suitcase around the airport. We are liberated to a certain extent, but the footwear is the thing that I struggle with kind of cutting back on, because you've got hiking shoes, you've got sandals, you've got flip-flops. You've got all these different footwears. But anyway, at least comfortable footwear is an option, which for many it didn't used to be, honestly. So yeah, definitely the footwear, we've got to get that right. And I think what you kind of alluded to is that what I've done for the vast majority of my life is activity holidays, so that you were cycling, hiking, yoga, Pilates, skiing, mountain biking, whatever. And that's a holiday for me. It's not everybody's idea of a holiday, I know. But I love to feel like I go on holiday and come back even fitter than when I went. Maybe that's just me, but I know actually you're a keep fit enthusiast as well, aren't you, Maria?
I do. In fact, I'm a little bit on the extreme side of adrenaline. So I'll be looking for in addition to the hike, I'll do the zip lining, I'll do the bungee, because I want the experience, because the intensity of experience makes my memory of that country or that location more intense. But I do appreciate not everyone is like that. So we haven't talked about it, but the people you choose to travel with is also important, because what activities are they in sync? and you don't want to raise conflicts. Yeah, we travel together to share the experiences, to share costs, but we also don't want to share conflicts. Some of the things you want to talk about in a very positive way is what kind of activities you want to get up to, so that you don't have the conflict between the one who wants to lie by the beach from dawn to dusk. There are those who tell me they only want to hike from the beach to the dining room, which is fine. That's fine. You don't want to waken up at 6 a.m. to catch the bus going in which direction, which is fine. So long as you're well aware that it's got to fit in with the person, we're not going to get into conflict that because of the activity I booked, then we are lugging our suitcases early in the morning. That's very much an integral part of my coaching, is to bring that out, that when you say you want to travel, why? What kind of activities do you want to do? So that if it's exertion and you don't like exertion, then don't select activities or don't join the group. But if it
Yeah.
is, like you said, I like what you said, come back fitter, then let's be understanding that it's going to be one of those. And so backpacks, not suitcases. Pack it light and easy for us to get to move around from one place to another. And then the kind of accommodation we book, the kind of activities, they're in sync. So that if you want yours easy, that's fine. But be aware that there's going to be some exertion, at least from point to point, home to the airport, around the airport. And some airports are really large. If you are aware of it in advance, then you take it in stride.
Yeah, and I mean, it comes back to this planning piece, doesn't it? But what you're talking about there as well is this kind of communication skill that benefits us all if we can hone our communication skills and express our needs as well. Because as women, quite often it's somebody says, "Oh, we're going to do this," and the woman goes, "Oh, okay, then." Really getting clear on, as you say, what it is that you want to achieve from a trip that you might take, what experiences you want to have, what your budget is, what sort of travel partner would be suited. Is it a family member? Is it a girlfriend? Whatever.
That's something so important you said. Even on budget, that can raise conflicts because there are those who want a certain standard. I want to stay 5-star, and that can really impact on your budget if
Yeah.
so that is not your priority. Like for me, who wants to get out, and so where I stay, I want a safe place. I want secure breakfast and store my luggage. It's an expensive store because I'm looking outward. I'm like, I'm just passing through.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Your budget reflects the kind of level of accommodation you might choose, but so does the experience. And where are the trade-offs as well? I think that's what you're speaking to, is it? That's a budget trade-off. I like to self-cater so that I can have control over the nutrition because I've got food sensitivities. There's things like this. And my husband, he'd love to be in the hotel with the buffet breakfast. So there's a bit of conflict around that. But I'll leave it to you to guess who wins out on that one. Have you got any suggestions for the best country for a first solo trip?
That's a tough one because speaking to an audience that's located all over the world with people with varying interests can be different for different people. But depending on your interests and what you'd like to do, if you just want a difference from where you live, so you're in the UK and someone just wants
Sunshine, Maria.
Exactly. Oh yes, UK. Oh my God, your weather. When I traveled there the first time, I have to say I understood why many of you come off as cold. You're very warm, Philip, but many come off as cold. And I
Oh,
understood
yeah.
why. I'm like, if this is what you have to live with all the year round, yes. If you want a variation and you are a first time solo traveler, you're just like adventuring for the first time. You don't need to go far. If you want sunshine, you go to the south of Europe. You go to Italy, you go to Cyprus, you go to the south of France for warmer weather. Oh, come to Africa. Oh my goodness, sunshine in abundance. You have come to Kenya. Go to South Africa in a good season. You have to check because where Kenya is placed in general is there's a reason it's really popular. It's because the climate doesn't vary. We're on the equator. So any country on the equator doesn't have a large range for temperatures. the variation will be raining or not raining, that we have sunshine all the year round. Our winter is 15 degrees centigrade. That's like, oh.
Maria, Africa is on my list of places to go. So watch out, because you are really selling Kenya to me right now.
You might not leave.
Maria, we are running out of time for our conversation today. Thank you so much for your wonderful tips and your amazing sense of humor, because we've got to laugh, haven't we? If while we're having these travel ups and downs.
Yes, choose your company well so that you have the right, yes, laugh partner.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, the right person to giggle with as you're going round on your travels. Well, thank you so much. I will share in the show notes where people can find you, but do tell us where we can find you if we want more travel inspiration and encouragement.
Great. So just to reiterate, I'm a travel coach, and I think sometimes you get confused. I don't make any travel for you at all. I work with you so that you make your choices, and I coach you on bookings that will increase the likelihood that you will be fulfilled and want to travel again. If you want to find me, I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Travel with MK. So Travel with MKAY is one word. Travel with MK on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and my website is travelwithmk.co.ke. So if you're a woman over 40 and you just want to chat, actually, you really want to make travel happen this year, 2026, get in touch, reach out to me, and let's make your travel dreams come true.
Oh, on that note, we hope everybody's travel dreams in 2026 come true. And thank you so much for this time today, Maria. And I look forward to keeping in touch and maybe coming on a trip to Kenya sometime.
Oh, you make sure you do. And have fun on that yoga retreat.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye, Maria. Whether you're dealing with menopause-related symptoms or looking to improve your overall health, this podcast has something for everyone. Hit the subscribe now button and never miss an episode. Let's embark on this journey together to thrive through menopause and beyond.